Welcome to the off season, here in season number 2 in the Nevada Wolfpack Dynasty. Well, 11-3 this year, and we won the Mountain West Conference Championship. We are prepared for the next step in this journey, and that is moving up into a bigger and better conference here in this episode. And we will see who we will commit to later on today. But today it's all about getting better, building upon what we just did. And I think that we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of transfers for the second straight season going into the offseason, including about 5 starters on offense and graduating 5 starters on defense. So this is going to be an interesting year for us. Who do we use our persuasion attempts with? We have 8 this year, up from 5 last year. So we will see who ends up committing back to the team. But it's going to be tough because, as I've kind of noted last year, pretty much nobody wants to stick around during these persuasions. The first candidate is Enrique D'Amico, our starting quarterback last year. He was electric, but man, he is probably going to move on after this, but we are going to try to persuade him anyway, and he has not been persuaded. Well, I guess the second attempt here is Chet Harper. He cares about playing time now, and he has not been persuaded, so 0 for 2 so far. I want Nate Burleson to finish his career with Nevada just like his father did, but he will not be persuaded either. We are 0 for 3 so far. So now we have to kind of pick and choose because really our top 3 players that we wanted back are not coming back. So we need to talk about the future a little bit. Quinn Willies was a guy we recruited in season number 1 as an agile guard. I ended up moving him over to defensive end, and I'm thinking that probably was a mistake because his skill caps are absolutely terrible as a defensive end. He would have came in with the lower overall as a guard, but I think I should have probably kept him at guard. But there are other guys I probably want to use these persuasion attempts on, like Xavier Macklin, an athletic will linebacker. He has 4 more years of eligibility, and he will not be persuaded, so we have not been successful at all so far. Then there's Deontay Stacy. He was a JUCO linebacker we recruited back in season 1. He is going to be a junior again this year, and his playing time is an F, but he decides to stay. I'm surprised at that because usually playing time is one of the hardest to keep around, and he ends up staying, so at least we get 1. We decide to go after Ashton Hayes. That's a no. Marshawn Brown, that's a no. So we have been 1 for 7 so far. And how about Malachi Jacobs? 1 for 8. We convinced 1 player to stay around, and the rest will hit the transfer portal. Surprisingly, we don't have anybody drafted this year. I thought we were going to have Cooper Flanagan at least drafted. He won tight end of the year. And after a year like that, that's still not good enough to get a draftee from us. So to start the offseason, we have 8 total recruits so far. Keon Burgess and DeMar Tam, the 4-star prospects out of Nevada, are our top 2 prospects so far that have committed. But we need to hit the transfer portal pretty hard. And we have to rebuild the quarterback position for the second straight year we're doing this. Dylan Council is the top recommended prospect. We will add him to the board. He is from BYU, and we will just add him. He is 5'11". And then I'm just going to go through the list here and just add some guys. Looking at quarterbacks, there are some interesting ones available. Guys that are, we have at least in their top 8, but surprisingly nobody had us as their number 1 school, which is pretty surprising seeing that it's pretty much an open roster at quarterback for any prospective transfer. Now, one guy that I highlighted here that I'm looking at is Ty Stitzer. He was a guy I was going after back in season 1. He instantly locked us out, but I loved his physical attributes. I just remember him being really, really, quick, and he had, I believe, 82 speed or something like that. I'm trying to remember, but he was a guy I want to add to the board. Niles Daniel was another guy I recruited back in season 1. Now he's interested in coming, so he is from Stanford. I will go after him. And then Sesi Vailahi is available too. Remember, he was the running back for Hawaii last year. 13 touchdowns on the ground. And I believe this will be his third portal team, by the way. Third transfer here in this series so far. I guess his second. So we decide to go after these guys here. Ty Stitzer, we're going to send the house on for 50. He's out of Nebraska. He is an edge rusher, and he has freshman eligibility coming into next year. Dylan Council, quarterback out of BYU. He's out of Elk Grove, California. His deal breaker is playing time. Now, I will not be scouting any of these guys because I want to just maximize the amount of recruiting points we can put on them. Isaac Book is a guard out of BYU as well, so he would have been blocking for Dylan Council, and now he has a possibility to transfer with him. So that is interesting. He's out of Logan, Utah. Jalen Allen played for UNLV a year ago, and he did not touch the field. So I'm actually interested in getting him and poaching him from our rival. I don't know how good he's going to be. He's ranked in the 1200s. Niles Daniel, I talked about. He committed to Stanford last year. I believe I just straight up did not go after him at some point. I just didn't put enough points on him. But now that he's had a year of college under his belt, I know he's going to have some skill points. So now he's more valuable to me. I will send the house on him. Trevor Camo is not a transfer portal player. He's out of high school, but I do want to go after him pretty hard because we do need offensive linemen. Leo Colombi, he is a free safety out of Miami of Ohio. So he is looking to transfer. I believe he will have 2 years of eligibility if we end up getting him. Brooklyn Cheek out of Wyoming. He's from Oakdale, California. Playing style is his deal breaker. And I usually don't go after playing style guys, at least on the offensive side of the ball. But on defense, it's a little easier because if you have a good secondary or a good pass rush, you know you're going to have a really good playing style. So I will go after them. Colin Saturday out of San Diego State. Quentin Dennis, he is out of UCLA. That's going to be something to remember. UCLA, just keep that in mind. Tariq Scantling. He is a Sam linebacker from TCU. Now, remember, just a year ago, we had Russell Davis II out of the transfer portal. He ended up being an All-American and an award winner. Maybe one of these guys will pop as an award winner for us. Gerald Kershaw out of Texas State. He will be hitting the transfer portal. He will be added to our board. Ruben Shaughnessy. He is another linebacker in the portal. He's out of Boise State. So I am definitely interested in going after him. His number one school is UNLV right now. Micah Tulafono is somebody I'm not actually going to go after. I ended up doing research on him, and he was a CPU-generated player out of the box when the game came out. So I decided to basically go after him, but not actually have him on the roster and use him. So after the first week of simulating here, it looks like we are first on a lot of these guys' boards. But we do have some extra recruiting points left over, recruiting hours, I should say. So we go after a cornerback in Kyler Beatty. He is out of Baylor, a 3-star prospect. And I do want to get stronger at that linebacker position, so I'm going to continue to emphasize trying to get some of these linebackers. Kershaw looks like he is committing to UCLA, so that seems like a lost cause. He was from Texas State a year ago. But I decided to go after now a high school linebacker to kind of fill his spot, and I decided to add Russell Carney to the board. Another position that I think we need to go after a little bit is wide receiver, because we just saw that Nate Burleson II and Marshawn Brown both end up transferring away, and then we end up losing Marquise Ashley via graduation. So I decide to go after Micah Tease. He is from West Virginia, and he had a really good year a year ago as a sophomore. So he is right now a top 200 prospect through the portal or high school players. So we will actually go after him, and we will add some points to him and see what happens. We get our first commit here in the offseason. It's going to be Niles Daniel. This is interesting because, like I said, I was going after him last year. He probably wanted me to go after him a lot harder. We could have had him a year ago. And then Landon Torrance, who is a high school cornerback, he ends up committing to our team as well. So those are the first two commitments here in the offseason. But now on to signing day. where we get to see which of these portal players officially commits and hopefully joins the Wolfpack here for the long term. Ty Stitzer ends up committing. Now, I was very, very excited about him because, like I said, he was a guy that I highlighted a year ago. He is impact development. Dylan Council also impact development. I was surprised at that. He's coming over from BYU. So we have our first quarterback committing out of the portal. Isaac Book, he ends up being star development. So I'm hoping to find some more of these star development guys, and I want to keep them around for the long term, but this is a good sign, getting some impact and getting a star development player. Jalen Allen is just normal, though. He is a cornerback that I hope to keep around for the long term. Hopefully he does stick around. Niles Daniel is impact, so both of the top two quarterbacks we have on our board are both impact, and then Trevor Cantwell is star development. So our top 6 prospects, out of those 6, 2 of those are linemen, and they both are star development. That is pretty awesome. Leo Colombi does end up committing to Air Force. He is normal development. Brooklyn Cheek is impact development. So the safety that we do end up getting is impact dev. But then it starts to get a little tough here. Colin Saturday ends up going to Wyoming. He was only normal development, so I'm not too mad at that. But I did want to recruit some safety depth. And then Quentin Dennis ends up going to Cal. So that was a bummer. I really wanted him in this recruiting cycle, and I decided to go after him over Vailahi. Tariq Scantling ends up going to Army. He was another guy I wanted. Ruben Shaughnessy, he ends up going to Oregon State. Tulifono ends up coming to Nevada. Now, remember, I'm not going to play him because he is just a CPU-generated player, not real, and he was not a recruit in this game, so I'm not going to play him. Then we have the guys that already committed, like DeMar Tam. He is already star development. Keon Burgess, impact. Dante Starling, impact. So we do get some good impact players. Lorenzo Booker, also impact. And then we found out towards the end of the season that George Petty was star development. So we have already 4 star development players on this board. Christian Farrell was a running back that I liked. Now, I recruited him in thinking that he would be like a depth running back I can develop. So that's going to be the plan for him. Titus Saturday committed in the regular season. He is impact development. He's, to me, the future down the road quarterback that I can, develop for a few years. That's what I'm thinking with him. Tyler Canonico was a guy that I had high on my board until I started scouting him. Seeing that he's only 70 speed definitely, prohibits, his playing time early on in his career. Tim Bredesen was a defensive tackle I added late. He's out of high school. Alex Thomas, another high schooler cornerback. He is normal development. Shaq Shaw, I'm actually really disappointed that he is normal development. I thought that he was going to be at least impact. A surprise here on our board was Celesi Tao. Now, Celesi Tao was a guy that I decided to add to the board late, and I just added him for no reason. I just wanted to have him on the board, to be honest with you, as just a depth receiver, and he ends up being star development. Adrian Marrero ends up being impact development. He is a power back that I'm hoping that can transition over to fullback, actually. We already know about Torrance. Johnny Lanier ends up committing to Washington State. Kyler Beatty is also normal dev. Russell Carney was only a 2-star prospect. It would have been a plus if he was normal, or at least impact. Micah Tease, he ends up committing, and he is star development as a junior coming in. So that is pretty good. And then another running back, I believe, is Andres Estandia, and he ends up being impact development. So we fill up our board and get a ton of recruits as we head into season number 3. And as we go into the top classes, we are in the top 50. We are number 46. So I'm very happy with this recruiting class. 28 total commitments. And I'm going to be making changes to the transfer portal slider so that so many guys don't transfer each year. I do want there to be some stability with not only our team, but the CPU teams. I feel like UNLV, for example, they had a very weak class, but also because they lost a ton of recruits this year, a ton of players on their roster that ended up being transfer portal players. So that kind of sucks for them. And I don't want CPU rosters to be depleted. So looking at the Pac-12, Herschell Turner ends up going to Oregon State. So Herschell Turner ends up transferring in season 1. He goes to BYU, then transferred from BYU to Oregon State. So he does go to, a different conference here, going from the Big 12 to the Pac-12. Enrique D'Amico goes to Florida, and Chet Harper ends up going to Utah, which is interesting. Marshawn Brown doesn't look like he's going to commit anywhere. I'm not sure if he would just automatically be on USC's roster, but Nate Burleson II ends up going to Washington after all of this. And then Ashton Hayes, I think he may not be committing anywhere either, but his top school was Minnesota. So on to position changes. We only have a couple of athletes here. The first is Shaq Shaw. Now, I recruited him to be a running back, and seeing that I do want to still move forward with David Lacouture, I think that Shaq Shaw is going to be, like I said, one of those development guys. I don't think he's going to be much of a receiver, so I'm not going to move him there, but I will put him at running back and see what he ends up doing there with his development. And then Andres Estandia, looking at him, I would say that he could play running back, but I believe I need some safety development players also on this roster. You never know when injuries could happen, and I want to be, proactive rather than reactive there. He's only 5'10", 173. He's going to need to add some weight, but I think that he could be decent safety. He's not the fastest guy either, so I will definitely have to develop that speed a little bit more. Adrian Marrero, I talked about him a little bit. We're going to be changing him over from halfback to fullback. So he was a 70 overall halfback. He's going to go down to a 61 as a fullback, but that's okay. I'm just going to develop his blocking more. Greg Huntley was the superstar, actually the star dev center that we recruited a year ago. I want him to develop as a guard, because once we move him over there, he will be a pass protector guard, and he was really good at pass blocking, and I feel like we really need to get better at blocking for the pass up the middle, and I think that we have some other options at center that we can kind of slot in there that may be a better fit for a center, and I think that maybe he might be a better fit as a guard. Trevor Cantwell is one of those examples here. Like, he just won't fit as a tackle. A raw strength tackle is pretty tough because they're not going to develop too much because their cost is so high. But the thing is, he is a star development, meaning he's going to get more XP or skill points than, the normal player will get. So I'm going to move him over right now to center or guard and see where he works in best. I could change his position in a future season. We'll see. But I do like what we have on the roster. We have a lot of cornerbacks, which I do like because you never know when cornerbacks will transfer. They can happen at any time, along with receivers. Those two positions really do transfer quite a bit, along with quarterback, as you can see. But I decided to move Marquise Rahman over to safety. If you remember from season 1's recruiting class, Marquise Rahman was the only freshman cornerback we ended up committing in that first class. So we advance on past here, and we end up finding out that Eric Sendejo will move up his development traits. Now, the interesting thing about Sendejo is that he is still a mid-60s overall defensive tackle. I think he still needs a lot of development in his game, and yet on the field, he was an All-American. He was unstoppable. So I will quickly go through upgrading players in this offseason just because there was just a lot of upgrading. I did it all manual, but I will show kind of my top 5 guys here that I upgraded and the most important guys going into this season. Dylan Council was the top recommended quarterback in the transfer portal. We're going to upgrade him, and as you can see, his attributes, he has a 90 throw power right now as an arm, and he had a lot of skill points to upgrade. So I decided to upgrade his accuracy to be a bit more accurate than what he was. And as you can see, he is, a mobile quarterback. Like, he is 80 speed right now too. And he is only 5'11" though. So that's something to keep your eye on. I have no idea how that's going to impact his play at quarterback. But as you can see, I have 13 points remaining. I decide to upgrade 1 power. So now he is at 91 throw power. And I thought that that would be great because I want a player that throws similar to Enrique D'Amico, what we had last year. Well, Niles Daniel is kind of a different player. He only has 86 throw power. He's a bit taller at 6 foot. He is also pretty mobile. He's got 80 speed, 86 acceleration. I decide to make him more accurate, and I decide to put a lot of points on that accuracy because I think that it's good to have different styles of quarterbacks, and I decided to upgrade Niles Davis up enough to 77 overall, and he is the most accurate quarterback on the roster, and I decided to upgrade his IQ. So he is 79 overall coming into this season, which would have been exactly what Enrique D'Amico was a year ago. The next player I have here that I want to show you guys is David LaCouture, 50 skill points to use here in the offseason. He was a star development running back, all conference, but his skill caps are actually pretty low, to be honest with you. His quickness, though, he has it full, and I decide to give him some speed. So he is up to 92 speed at this point after using all of his skill points, and I think he's going to be a very, very good player this season. I expect a big jump from David LaCouture. Micah Tease, he was the big receiver that we got in the transfer portal. He's going to be a junior this year. Now, his calling card is his speed. He is a mover with the football, and you really want to get him yards after catch, get him some yak, and I'm deciding to upgrade his elusiveness all the way up to pretty much make him untackleable. And I think that that's one thing that I think that we need more speed on this roster, and Micah Tease is going to help there. He's going to be a guy that is going to be a decent route runner, great agility. It's at 99. Can't wait to use him in so many different ways. Greg Huntley, star development, now a guard or a center. I just don't know where I would play him, but right now I think it's just going to be guard. He was a former center, so I decided to upgrade him with his run blocking all the way up as much as I can because he was already a pretty good pass blocker. You know, his overall doesn't go up too much. He only goes up to 70, but he is very well-rounded as a guard, and I'm very happy about that because I feel like our offensive line was definitely a weak point a year ago. Let's go to the defense. Amir Broussard. Amir Broussard was interesting back in season 1, a walk-on nose tackle who really showed that he could get after the quarterback. Had 5.5 sacks in year 1, 8.5 last year. That was maybe the quietest 8.5 sacks we've seen in this series, and we are going to upgrade him and make him, you know, one of those guys that hopefully can be unblockable in the middle of the defense, and we'll see how he pairs with Eric Sendejo this year. Larry Tuilolo, another player that kind of flew under the radar last year, was our starting Mike linebacker actually, but Russell Davis II played that sub linebacker position, so it took a lot of playing time away from him. But yet, because he was first on the depth chart, he stuck around with A+ playing time as his deal breaker, and he's going to come in and probably take over that sub linebacker position. So here is Eric Sendejo, now upgraded from normal to impact dev, and I'm just going to upgrade some of his pass rushing skills, but he only ends up being 69 overall after this offseason. He goes from 66 to 69. He's still going to be, you know, that second defensive tackle we have in the rotation, but I'm surprised that, you know, he's not a higher overall than what he plays with. It's pretty crazy. Josiah Persinger. Now, one thing that I need from Josiah Persinger is to stay healthy this year. We're going to be entering a new conference, which we'll check out in a little bit, but it's really the health for him. And I think that, you know, Josiah Persinger is going to really need a big year for us to be good this season. And he's going to be 96 speed. He's the fastest player on the entire roster going into his sophomore season. Larry Swain. I love Larry Swain. He was the top prospect that was interested in our school to start this series. In our recommended tab, I really love the recommended tab in recruiting because it makes it feel like these are the guys that your scouts ended up finding, and these are the guys you can go after. But I like Larry Swain. We're going to set him as a captain. I thought he made a lot of plays last year. He flew under the radar. He was a freshman All-American. I just can't wait to see him play here in season 2 or season 3. 21 skill points left over though after that. I don't know if that was a glitch or what, but for some reason it reloaded those 21 points, but I couldn't really use any. So Nevada will be accepting an invitation to the Pac-12. Now I know some of you guys said that maybe you should win 2 conference championships, but look at the teams that are already here, like Colorado State, San Diego State, Utah State, Texas State. They were all here before they won a conference championship. So at least not in the recent future, or I guess recent past. But I ended up moving over there because I really thought that that was maybe the best geographical fit. And I thought that it would just make sense. We wouldn't probably go to the Big 12, as a lot of teams that are going to the Big 12 are really from the eastern part of the United States at this current moment. And I think that the Pac-12 is really trying to just build up their conference. So I decided to move on to the Pac-12. Well, Chet Harper and D'Amico find their new homes. And Chet Harper now playing for Utah. He is fully maxed out with his skill points. And this is kind of what we were going to get to. This is a fully maxed out player. And we are going to play Utah week number 1. We then will play our second game in a row in the second year versus Stanford, this time in their house. And then we will go on the road to play at Michigan. This is going to be one of the most interesting games. Everybody's kind of pointing this out, but I hate that Bryce Underwood has these caps. It's ridiculous. And he can only be 87 overall. So we will get to face against a fully maxed out Bryce Underwood, which is pretty crazy. And then Hawaii, we will face them at home. I felt like playing a team that we'd had some battles with, even though we left the conference. So we will play Hawaii in that 4th game of the season. We then open up Pac-12 conference play. Colorado State won the Pac-12 last year. They defeated Oregon State in the championship. So we will open up with them during week 5. Then Washington State, Texas State, UCLA, Utah State, Boise State, San Diego State, and then we end the season versus UNLV. I'm excited for that UCLA game, by the way, at week number 9. That's going to be a fun matchup as we go on the road at Rose Bowl Stadium. So we do have some coach upgrades as well, and we will be making some changes going into this season, not only just with our coaching and playbooks and abilities and stuff. We will actually be making changes to the sliders also. I did feel like, at some point I did want just a little bit of tweaking with the sliders. I made sure not to do that because I wanted to stay consistent the whole year. But this time I'm going to make some changes. We are going to unlock the recruiting tree and then unlock some recruiter abilities. So I will unlock the advanced look for wide receiver and tight end. I feel like tight end is still a big hole on this team. So I do want to go after some in recruiting. So after all of this, let's look at some impact freshmen coming into this year, or some freshmen of note. Titus Saturday is the first. Now, the interesting thing about Saturday is that he is maxed out with his throw power at 85, but he has a lot of potential to upgrade his accuracy and his speed. So that's just going to be something to look out for. I think that speed is going to be the first thing that I want to upgrade with him, just because I don't want a statue quarterback. Shaq Shaw, who we recruited, unfortunately is maxed out with speed. I was hoping that maybe we can make him, kind of that scat back that can, really contribute in the passing game and have breakaway speed. He's decent, not great. He will have a chance to develop, but he will be maxed out at 90 speed. Another running back is Christian Farrell. He will also be maxed out at 82 speed. That is unfortunate, but another scat back. And this is the reason why I kind of wanted to recruit running back in the offseason. I just wasn't sure about some of these guys. But let's talk about the real impact player on offense. It's DeMar Tam. There's no way that he's not going to be our number 1 receiver this year. I mean, just look at the skill caps. Look at the potential. 6'5". He's already actually at 89 speed, and he still has one more upgrade to go. So he could potentially be a 90 or even 91 speed guy. We have some abilities we can still upgrade here and unlock. So I'm very happy about him. Now, Celeste Tao was an interesting player because he was star development. His skill caps don't really say that, though. But I think that he's a guy that we can develop. I just don't see a spot for him to play this year. So hopefully he sticks around after this year and gets a nice big boost in the offseason. I think we're going to have to figure out what to do at tight end. Dante Starling is very raw. Good hands, but not a great route runner right now. He is athletic, 83 speed, 88 acceleration. And he's got good size at 6'4". However, like I said, the separation is going to be an issue, I think, this year for him. So right now, Riley Langley is going to be penciled in as the number 1 tight end. George Petty was a surprise as we got him as a star development defensive end or an edge. Now, he's very raw with his pass rushing, so I'm not sure how much he will play here in year 1, but he will probably be a backup here to the rest of our defensive ends. Dennis Briggs was a guy that had a big offseason. He's up to 74 overall, but Keon Burgess, number 91, he's going to change numbers over, I believe, to number 7. He's going to start day 1. Like, there is no doubt in my mind because he was a 4-star local kid. He's very athletic. Look at the skill caps, too. I think he's going to earn some skill points a lot this year. And I'm making a change as far as progression goes in season. I'm going to turn on auto progression, and I'm going to turn down the penalty slider for XP in season just so that our players can progress during the season. I kind of saw a couple of videos that will help and guys can progress during the season because I saw 0 progression during any of our seasons this series so far during the season. So I'm going to definitely make sure that our players are progressing during the season. Jabari Ihedegbo is going to be interesting as a linebacker. I don't know if he's going to play year 1, but he does have athleticism. He also has 80 zone coverage, so he's going to be a good coverage linebacker. I want to fit him in somewhere. He can also rush the passer a little bit. I think he's just a versatile guy. He's somebody to look out for. Then at freshman cornerback, we have Landon Torrance. Now, he has pretty good skill caps, actually, so I'm excited about his future. I doubt he's going to play this year, though. He's just not ready yet. His hands are terrible. He still needs a lot of development, and he still is only normal development, which does suck. I was hoping that he would be at least impact. And then, I just want to highlight, our quarterback battle a little bit. We have Dylan Council, who, is now at 74 overall, 91 throw power, obviously. That's going to be really good for us. I do wonder, though, his awareness is a little low. Sometimes I find that if your awareness is low, your accuracy definitely goes with it. And he's a little bit smaller, on the smaller side at 5'11". Will he be able to make all the throws in the pocket? And that's why I really wanted to emphasize recruiting multiple quarterbacks, because I wanted options along with, what we saw with Niles as well. But a running back that may make an impact this year is David Paul. Going into last year, he was a power back, but now we've kind of added some shiftiness to his game, and he has the highest carrying on the team at 83 as a running back. You wouldn't believe it, but David Lacouture has like 63 carrying, which is pretty crazy, and he hasn't fumbled too much in his career so far. Darius Whitehead is also a veteran now, redshirt freshman. Now, one thing I emphasize with him is route running. Look at the route running we maxed out with him. 91 short, 93 medium, 88 deep, 84 release. Watch out for Whitehead to make an impact. He is the brother of DeJuan Whitehead from our Marshall series. And then there's the speedster, Rick Gaskin. He is the fastest offensive player we have on the roster. He will be returning kicks. Now, I don't know how much of an impact he will make at receiver, though, because I feel like right now he is a one-trick pony. He's not a great route runner. He has straight line speed at the current moment. We could use him in some type of capacity. I just don't know what that's going to be. And then finally, we have Mike Bandy, who I think Bandy is going to suffer the most this year as far as playing time, just because he did not progress that well. He scored 5 touchdowns a year ago, but I think that now we have DeMar Tam. He's going to definitely take a back seat. So I want to get some practice in, and I want to try out some different playbooks. I don't know which one I'm going to use yet, But Niles Daniel and Dylan Council will both be competing for the starting job. Now, interesting enough, Niles Daniel has a different throw style over the top 6. I've never seen this on a quarterback, so it's just interesting. Just look at how long it kind of takes him to throw the football. It just gives him personality. It's different, but it's something to get used to. It's definitely like a wind-up type of throwing style, and especially with his 85 throw power, this could be a little bit problematic. He is the most accurate quarterback, but look at how long it takes him to deliver a football. So it's just going to be something to look out for this season. And I think that, Niles Daniel is the superior quarterback at this current moment. But we will take a look at Dylan Council in a little bit also. But Daniel is pretty impressive. Like, he made some accurate throws in practice. I thought he was, pretty good with the football. Here is Micah Tease with a broken tackle and a spin. And I think he's going to be a guy who's going to get it on time. He also can run the football a little bit. But here's the play of the practice. Here is David LaCouture breaking a couple of tackles and breaking free. There's that new 92 speed we upgraded him with. And just look at this play right here, breaking a couple of tackles. This was something that LaCouture did not have in his game last year. Some breakaway ability to break tackles. I kind of like that. I think he had a huge offseason. So here is Dylan Council, 5'11". He's number 10. He's going to wear number 10 this year. But look at the throws downfield. That one was an impressive one. With 91 throw power, he can actually push the football down the field. Unlike with Niles Daniel, who's going to be more of a short, intermediate thrower of the football. And there's Keon Burgess wearing that number 7 getting to Dylan Council. But Council was interesting when I played with him. His release was a whole lot quicker also than what we saw from Niles Daniel. A lot like Enrique D'Amico's, by the way. His is actually lower 3/4 1, which is a lot quicker than what we see with Niles Daniel. So that's just something to keep an eye out on. It's going to factor into the decision as well. Like, I need a player who's not going to take a ton of sacks or get hit on his throws, because those do result in interceptions also. So it's just something to keep your eye on. But I'm looking forward to this season altogether. And the offseason we just had was pretty good, to be honest with you. With what we lost, I think we gained a lot more too. So here is the final roster as I go through the complete roster. I would say right now our strengths are probably receiver. I really like our receiver room. We have a lot of different guys that can do different things. We still have the tall, big targets with Mike Bandy along with DeMar Tam. And now we add Micah to the mix. I think he's going to be really good. Micah Tease along with Rick Gaskin. He's a speedster also. And then we add also Whitehead. Whitehead's going to be a good playmaker. Our weakness is probably tight end, and I think running back a little bit. I like David LaCouture, but if LaCouture goes down, I'm not sure I'll have much faith in our running back room. So that's just something to keep your eye on. I'm definitely going to be monitoring David LaCouture's health throughout this year, so that's something to look out for. Defensively, I think really our weakness is probably going to be linebacker. Russell Davis II was so good. He's just so hard to replace. We're going to have some new edge rushers too, so we're going to have some superstars possibly coming out of that room. I'm thinking at Keon Burgess, very raw, but could have a good year if we send some blitzes. And we're going to be switching up the sliders as well, so that may have an impact on our performance as well. So that is going to do it here for the offseason. Let me know what you guys thought of this offseason. Who's your players coming into this season that are really going to surprise? Who are those players that are going to be disappointed? I really want to know both. And I really enjoy your guys' opinion on these comments in the videos, in the comment section. You guys do definitely make this series come to life. And I'm ready for season number 3. I don't know about you. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.